That's great.
Are we all ready?
Tell me when.
Is Hannah online?
Yeah.
All right, then we are a full board.
Start recording.
I will call this meeting at 6:02 on the 6th of January. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Excellent. Approval of minutes from December 2nd.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. I wasn't there. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, do we have to do
Aye.
roll call?
Do we have to do roll call?
Because you have some.
All right, Hannah.
Aye.
Heather.
Aye.
Ryan.
Abstain.
Yes, I'm gonna abstain too.
Aye.
But it still passes, great, because even though it's the same. Okay. Phew. Public participation and announcements. Other than Happy New Year.
Winter activity starts tomorrow. That's
It
exciting.
does. I left and my kid was putting his name on his skis.
Oh, we find out what the show is.
On Friday, that's right.
Friday.
Friday, that's right. So the musical is already
I
underway.
know. I'm
That's
so
exciting.
excited.
Excellent. All right. Nothing else. Then administrative report.
Okay, Frank is online tonight.
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Frank. Oops.
One of Hannah's kids is gonna press a button, we're just gonna see her disappear.
That sounds like the least bad thing that could happen by one of my kids pressing. But
Let's get to the beginning. There we go. All right, Frank, you are up.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, all good.
Perfect. All right. So my first slide going into it, I'm going to actually work off my own as I'm looking. This month for recognition and celebration is National Blood Donor Month. With that actually sparked a conversation as to have we ever hosted a blood drive and can we? And so I'm actually going to look into that, contact the Red Cross to see if that is something that we would like to do as a community. I understand that our students wouldn't be able to donate, but it doesn't mean they probably couldn't help support and promote and be a part of it. So I'd like to see what the qualifications are and if that's something that we could do and host at Hartland.
Cool.
All right. Next up is overall, I believe it's just going to be our activities. So I'm going to read off. Michael just reached out and you guys know winter activities. So that's sort of the layout over the next couple of weeks. Wildcat wrap up. We are having a science and geography fair, which we're very excited about. We've partnered together with a bunch of our middle school folks. And as I talked about, incorporated some of the younger grades to help be part of that. Very exciting. We do have NAEP testing coming up. I believe a flyer went out and another one will be going out over the next few weeks in our newsletters. So on the 28th, it'll be for 4th grade and the 29th, it'll be for 8th grade. And then we do have our district music festival. And I do want to talk a little bit about something that I mentioned at the admin meeting today that we're very excited about. And we are having like a winter carnival that comes up, but it also coincides with the beginning start of the Olympics. And so been working with Tina, and I think we're going to do sort of a mini lighting of the torch run. We're going to try and do it down our street in which our school is, and they'll have a fake torch in which they'll pass off to other teammates or other kids, and then that'll culminate sort of maybe with Mr. Samuel and one of those butane sort of lighters to light like a chimenea to signify the start of the Olympics and the start of sort of that winter festivities. We're going to ask and some people are hearing this for the first time, we're going to ask, I think, different grades or homerooms. I'm not sure how we have it laid out to be different countries. And so they can celebrate and talk about and kind of promote that. And then we have a whole bunch of winter activities that we are going to have on that day as well that include like bobsledding and cardboard stuff and things like that. But I thought it would be cool. I've done this before, where if we can line the street for a half hour and just have kids kind of run down the block with a fake torch and then light it at the end. I think that'd be kind of cool for them to see and be a part of. So something we're working on. All right. I don't know if there are any questions about that or any thoughts, but that would be.
I have a comment. This is Beth Ann.
Yeah.
If you all wanted the cross-country skis for more time after the Nordic Rocks week, we could definitely make that happen if you want to use those for your winter activities.
That would be great, because I think we talked about a couple of fun activities, and one of them being snowshoeing and cross-country. So I'll connect with you. Yeah, thank you, Tina. I knew you were on. We can definitely connect. That would be great. Another thing that's not on here that you know what, I'm going to hold off because I haven't sent it yet. It's just something fun the kids were planning, and I don't want to ruin the surprise. All right. Heart Awards is the next one, and that's just you guys, some of you were there, which was great. I got to see you. And so just kind of list of Heart Awards. Here's the geography fair and science fair that I talked about. So we have a flyer that's gone out. And so just wanted to mention that to folks. Another shout out for the Caught You Being Good cards, which I really feel has caught on, and I think kids and adults alike have really enjoyed it. And I think it's a good way to celebrate the great things that we're doing in an impactful way. And as small or as big as it is, it's worth recognizing. And so I've appreciated how everyone has kind of bought into that. As Michael, I said, talked about signing up for winter activities, and that's just some of the things that we're offering and doing. And so that I wanted to put a little flyer in there as well. And that's really all I have. It's not, it's been kind of quiet, obviously, after the coming off a break. So.
Sorry, Frank, I was a little behind. There you go.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, Emily, you want to go next? Hold on 1 second.
Okay, so to start off, Happy New Year. That was a very long break that we had. To be honest, I started getting sick of it at the end of it.
Oh.
Away from school for way too long. And then, so a quick recap of December and like the events. We had the winter concert, so like our 4 through 8 concert, which I know parents love and enjoyed, even though it was very long. We had the variety show. We had a lot of people come and support us and watch it, and it was very nice and great. And then the 8th grade spaghetti supper. I was there and serving people. It was very fun personally, and I'm very happy that the 8th grade gets to do this. So, yeah.
How much did you make? Do you remember?
3,000?
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, it
it's
was
always
certainly,
like
it was
the
north of
basket raffles and
2,500. I
stuff.
think it's about $3,000.
Yeah, it
That's
was
awesome.
like $3,000 for 14 kids. It's not bad.
Not bad at all. You're gonna go more maybe than Lake George.
Exactly. That's the goal. You can skip.
Yep.
And then, so the upcoming events, Mr. Romeo has very kindly already said all of these. I'll just tap into a few of them. So we have the start of winter activities, which I know a lot of kids are very excited for and seeing.
It looks like you're at a YouTube.
A school board.
So anyway,
Trying to do 6 things at once.
we have winter activities, so like skiing, snowboarding, all of that, and then we have swimming and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, I heard rock climbing stuff.
Oh yeah, rock climbing. And then some kids get to go to Lucy McKenzie, the shelter, and hang out with some animals. And then we have the science and geography fair. As someone who's in that as well, we're very excited to be working with and partnering with the smaller kids to just get to know them and see what they get to do when they're older. So it's a good experience for both of us. And then we have the district festival, which a few of the kids in middle school got into. So
There are 6 of you, right?
I think so.
Yeah, you're included.
I am included.
Yeah.
So
So chorus and
congratulations.
band, right? Is going in?
No,
Or just-
there's just band.
Just band. Nice.
Yeah. And 6 Hartland kids got it. So.
It's okay to toot your own
It
horn
is,
every
I know.
once in a while.
So, I did 6th grade for this month, not going out of order, just. So, they're doing a grapes project in social studies. So, it's geography, religion. Oh no, I can't remember. It's like, it has to do with social studies, but it's grapes. So, it stands for something, and they do a big project on it. And they choose, I don't remember what they choose. It's either a country or like someone to report on, and it was a really fun project that I got to do, and I know a lot of them are really enjoying it. And then in English, they're starting the Hunger Games, and they're very excited to be reading that. I've heard lots of good things about that, so yeah.
Is that the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Great job, Emily. Back to here. Okay. Okay, my turn. It's great to see all of you. Hope everybody had a nice break. Certainly, I feel like Emily. 2 weeks is a long time for me. I don't sit still well, but I did take some time and got to see my family, which was lovely. So I shared this at the SU board meeting, and I just couldn't help but share it again at the local board meetings because one of our strategic plan goals is student success and engagement, and the engagement that I saw before the break in terms of performances across the SU was pretty astounding, and we're just really proud of all of the work that the kids put in and the performances that they were able to provide for the communities. It's pretty heartwarming when you see lots of grandparents and family members show up, and so that's just a shout out to all of the hard work that went into that. And we have one more tomorrow that was canceled due to weather in Windsor. So one more tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be just as great. Along the lines of student success and engagement, Emily shared this. We have the following students. They auditioned, and they're going to participate in the Winter Festival on Friday, January 30th and February 1st, and I thought it would be important to share who they are. So it's Christopher Dow, Maylee Britton, Holly Delpra, Finn Pullen, Emily, and Jaron Lozier. And have you all seen them play? They're pretty incredible musicians, so I'm excited for them. And you're doing a concert for the public, correct? Usually on Saturday?
Yes.
It's usually Saturday
So,
afternoon.
yeah, we have rehearsal Friday, and then Saturday it's a very big performance, because it's like high school's performing, and we're a part of that performance as well. So it's really fun. And a few of those kids got to go to jazz band districts, which was even harder to get into. So.
Wow. So you practice all day Friday with a whole bunch of kids you don't know, and then
It's
you do a concert
80
the
to
next
100
day.
kids, yes.
It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Well, congratulations to all those kids. I didn't hear if there are other kids in the SU. Do you
So
know?
Windsor, I know a bunch of Windsor students got in. We got in, I don't know, usually a few Wethersfield
Yeah, good.
does, and I don't know about the others, but those are the 3 main ones I know.
Excellent.
Do they give you the sheet music before Friday?
So,
Okay, I was gonna say.
so
They do?
we have,
Okay.
so we get our audition song, which is one song that we play, and if you don't get it, you keep that song, and you don't get the music. So after you find out if you get in, you get the music, and you have about a month to learn it, and it's
Okay.
pretty difficult.
What do you play?
I play trumpet.
Very cool. Very cool. And it's going to be, do you know where it's going to be this year?
Brattleboro.
Brattleboro.
So it's a pretty far hike.
Okay. Act 73 update is There isn't any right now. Legislature is in session starting today, so we might start to hear some things. The governor speaks tomorrow. His state of the state address is at 2:00 tomorrow for anybody interested. I did want to make you aware of a couple things. The final report from the Commission on the Future Publication of Public Education was released, I believe, December 15th. It's not long. It's about 27 pages. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's worth a read. There weren't any surprises if you paid attention to the meetings at all. It really captured kind of what they talked about, and there are I think 4 different recommendations that they provided. One on roles, functions, or for what recommendations for what roles, functions, or decisions should be a function of local control and what should be a function of state level control. There was, I believe, a desire to keep some local control. Sorry. There were recommendations on necessary updates to the roles and responsibility of school, district boards, and the electorate. And I believe they recommended that things stay as is, which is not a surprise.
Well, and it was also like right now they're like they still haven't agreed on mapping.
They have not
on
agreed on that.
any force
Right,
district, and so
correct.
it doesn't seem like what I'm hearing. It doesn't seem like the political will is there to force districts.
That's what I've heard. We'll see what happens over the next few months. And then there was some information on a process for a community served by a school to have a voice in decisions regarding school closures and recommendations on what that would look like and some timelines. And then a process for monitoring the implementation of this act in a manner that is transparent and public facing. So those were kind of their charges, and they reported out on that. Again, it's worth a read if you're interested. I don't know if people that it's meant for will heed what's in the report or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Another thing, and I know there's not a high school here at Hartland, but you do send your students to high schools in Vermont, and so wanted you to be aware that the proposed graduation requirements were presented to the State Board of Education. I think December 30th. I think they were due then, sometime in December. And so the proposal is that the total credits will be 22.5, and that will start not next year, the following year. The board has to approve them, I think, the middle of next year. There were, the reason that they were charged with creating these requirements was when the federal government came in and did their statewide audit for funding, et cetera, to make sure the state was in compliance. It was noted that there were districts across the state with a range of requirements from, I think, 16.5 to 30, so it varied
I saw that
greatly.
just looking at the schools with Samara last year.
Yeah. So, trying to get some consistency and some opportunities for kids to have equitable experiences or equal experiences across the state. So, those are not finalized yet, but draft form. Quarterly financials, let me click on this so you can see this. 1 second. And I think Larry just arrived. He's also virtual tonight, so he can help me if I get stuck. But oops. Here it comes. That's the load. I'm just gonna scoot into the last page because that's where all the stuff is. So, as you can see, the beginning fund balance.
Can you?
Yeah, I can try to make it bigger.
His eyes can't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that better? A little bit? Okay. Beginning fund balance of 629,000 and change. Revenue forecast of 11 million. Expenses and encumbrances, almost 11 million, 10,869,000. Projected surplus of 261,77, 261,778. So you've got a projected surplus of 2.35 at this time, which is good. We're halfway through the year, so things could change, but as of right now, things look pretty good. Larry, anything you want to add now that you're here?
No, just the typical caveats that it's really normal to project the surplus at this time of the year, and as we get closer, it could change. Tuition bills come in, things happen. So I run these obviously monthly. We report out quarterly. So with all those caveats, things look good right now.
Which is good news.
Right.
We're not in the red yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't be, so. Okay. Back here. Okay, that is the end of the administrative, no, it's not, I got one more slide, just to keep you updated. I know we talked last month a little bit about promoting the budget once we adopt it and how to get people engaged in conversation. So we've been working as an administrative team, really talking about ways we can do that. So we've landed on a few. We're gonna have a one-page flyer, talking points, and you could all decide if you want to spend the money to mail it. I think it's probably worth I don't know, we'll have to look into how much it costs, but worth having it out there as much as possible. Larry's actually been working on that for us. He has a template that he's using for each of the districts, so we'll share it out when it's done, and you can give us feedback or ideas for change. We've talked about having coffee talks with the principals, either at school or in various locations around town that people can come to, and just ask questions or be informed. And we're meeting with Brooke, our communications, part-time communications person, next week to talk about how we can create a video that will kind of highlight a lot of students and what we're doing, what the budget money is buying people. So we'll keep you informed about that.
Do you usually make a point to go to like the senior coffee hour at the library? I always see that posted.
We haven't, but we should, because that would be a great
I feel like
audience
it's a
to
goal.
talk to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's senior coffee?
I think.
Senior cafe.
Yeah.
Senior cafe?
Yeah.
Do you know where they have it?
It's at the
Is it in the
library.
library? Okay.
Once or twice a month.
Okay. I mean, we can find out, but that's great. Okay. So we're gonna, with your permission, Beth, on the agenda,
Move on.
move on to the budget.
Budget.
Okay. So last month, Larry and Frank mostly gave you a rundown of the budget book, where things were landing, and the board asked that we come back this month with Frank's proposal for what he needs to run this building. So we have that for you tonight. I think before you go, I just wanted to, I think it's important to look at where your budget drivers are coming from, because it really shows that you don't have a lot of control over elementary school funding. So, as you know, at the SU level, special education was up a considerable amount this year. That's to catch up with some past years that we didn't, the budget didn't represent actual costs that we were incurring. So we're going to fix that this year, but it is at a cost. 1.4 of the increase is contracted salary increases, so those are negotiated wages for your staff, and well deserved. And
Christine,
yeah.
you're still sharing the quarterlies.
Oh gosh, sorry. Really? Thanks, Larry. This is on, oh, that's on Emily's, hold on one second. Okay, here we go. This'll help. How's that? Sorry about that. So 0.6 of the increase is benefit increases, and while negative 1.06 of the savings is mostly tuition. As you know, your tuition numbers were down this year. That's kept the total increase to 5.24%. So now I will let Frank take over. Frank, you ready?
I believe so.
Okay.
All right. So taking a look overall, having a number of conversations and consultations and just kind of looking at what we have. One of the things that I was looking to focus on is the math scores and looking to add a 0.5 math interventionist to help at the middle school level, 6 to 8. But what that would mean in doing so is to reduce one position of an SEI. Taking a look at, and I know I was asked this, so I'm going to just give out the numbers that I have. The SEI position, as folks will know, right, is partially proactive in the sense where they will have a caseload of anywhere from 6 to 8 students per day, 10-minute check-ins. That's something that would be on a schedule. That's what they know when they walk in. The unknown is sort of the triage of the things that pop up of helping regulate and support students all over the building. There's no way to put an exact number on that. Each day can be different. The role is unique and supportive and vital, and I understand that. But when overall looking at it, if I had the choice, I would keep everybody as we know. But taking a look moving forward, one of the concerns, one of the focus has been on math and will be on math. And so talking with Larry and Christine and all the support folks that I have, my suggestion would be to add a 0.5 math interventionist and to reduce one SEI position for next year.
And what that will do to your budget without applying any of the surplus. That's pre-surplus. That's a budget of 11,814,613 with an increase of 5.24. But when Larry runs all the numbers in the formula, it turns out to be a 13.1% tax increase.
Heather, do you have a question?
Last time we met, I thought the tax increase was like 11%. How all of a sudden did it become 13.1?
Yeah, so since we last met, there was a small increase, but noticeable, to our dental plan, which has not increased in 2 years. And then also the LTW-ADM for Hartland has been reduced. So we get updates regularly from the state for the LTW-ADM, and that's the denominator.
Larry, hold on,
of
can
the
you say what that acronym is so the people out there in the world know what you're talking about?
LTW-ADM is what Vermont calls from Act 127 the long-term weighted average daily membership, and basically it takes every kid, whether they go to a different high school or whether they go to K-8 or whether they're pre-K, and they give weights to them. So for example, a student on free and reduced, you would get weighted more than 1.0, and so on and so forth. An ELL student, for example, might be weighted 4. And Hartland's LTW-ADM is down. That doesn't necessarily mean just enrollment's down. It could mean there's fewer free and reduced lunch students than there were last year. It could mean some high school students moved out because they are weighted a little higher than elementary students. It could be, and inversely, it could mean more pre-K kids because pre-Ks are weighted less than a 1.0 K5 student. So your LTW-ADM was down. So if you picture a fraction, it's the denominator on the fraction. And if that number goes down, that's how you could turn on what was, like Heather, you said, was roughly 11.5-ish% to a 13.1%. And again, that's without applying any of the surplus. That's straight out.
The increases in the SU budget special, is that like the budgets were incorrect for previous years, and then so this year is just like extra money to pay back some of that, and then we can anticipate maybe that next year then that number will be smaller?
Yes, so we were over budget significantly. Last year, remember we were telling you we're
Yeah.
pretty over in special ed. We were able to gain some revenue from the state for some out-of-district placements where some of that cost is coming from, unanticipated move-ins with really high needs. And so, yes, we are budgeting, I don't know what the word is, accurately this for next year based on our actual spending. And Larry, I don't know if I did a good job with that, but you can certainly step in and help.
So in the year that Christina's discussing is fiscal year 25. That's the fiscal year that ended last June. We built that budget in the fall of 23. When we built that budget in the fall of 23, there were, I will say, a handful of students that were not, that moved in after the fall of 23. So they weren't reflected in the 25 budget. They weren't reflected in the 26 budget because remember, they moved in after the 23. We did the 26 in the fall of 24. They are now being reflected in the 27 budget. We haven't gone back to Hartland and reassessed for the increase because we've been doing good, I guess I would say, good financial work to make sure that we don't have to go back to Hartland after the assessment and catch it up with the actuals for fiscal year 25. We were able to use some of the revenue that Christine talked about. We were able to use some of the fund balance that we've been preparing for over the years in situations just like this. And however, building the 27 budget, we have to account for those students. If those students moved out tomorrow, Ryan, then you're right, it would go down, but the budget's already set and the money would be returned either in a way of fund balance or back to Hartland. But we don't know if that's going to happen.
If nothing changed from this year to next year, then the budget would essentially be the same next year then.
Minus any contractual pay increases and health insurance increases. Yes.
All right.
And the increase from just those pay, salary and benefit increases, that was the data that you showed us, Christine, right? And that led to a budgetary increase of about 5.2%, correct?
No,
Salary?
that was about a 1 point. Christine has it.
I can go back.
I think it's
I think it was 1.4. So.
Oh, I just see have kept the total net. Sorry, I saw that on that slide, and that's why I got confused. Okay.
So if you add up 4.3, 1.4, and 0.6, that's your 5.24.
Mm-hmm. Well, minus 1 point. 4.3 plus 1.4 plus 0.6 minus.
I know. Yes, I know it's complicated. So you had some state anything other than special ed and contracted salary increases and 0.6 of the benefits increases actually went down in your budget. Meaning, for example, if tuition was flat, you'd be up 6.3, right? Mm-hmm. But because tuition was not flat and all other costs, supplies, etc., were not flat, they were actually down. That's why your budget is up 5.24%. Of the 5.24%, the vast majority is special education. About 1.5% is contracted salary. You could say 2%. 2% is salary and benefits, and 4% is special ed. And
I'm sorry if I missed this, Ryan. You were asking about that 4.3% increase in special ed, and that was your answer. This came in 23, but we sort of didn't capture it, and this is the first time we're having to go back to the town to ask for that to be funded.
Well, it's funding what we're actually spending.
It's funding what we're actually spending, right? But it's okay.
And last year we spent that much, and we were over budget, as you recall, but some revenue came in and we used some fund balance so that we didn't have to come back and backfill, essentially. Okay, so
I just have a question too. I was looking at the budget book just about some of the expenditures, like with the changes within the budget, and like communications is down 92%. Like, what does that mean? I'm just like, what are we not doing then?
Communications as in mail.
That's a great question.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, so Beth, what that is, and this has been planned out over years, we were due for a phone system upgrade. Our phones were end of life, and we put it at the SU. So that was not a cost savings, that was just moving money. But in your local budget, it is a cost savings.
Yes.
But it's at the SU. So now all the phones are on the same system and with the same lease agreement. So if a phone goes out at Hartland, I can grab a phone from Weathersfield's, surplus and bring it over and so on and so forth, like we do with most technology.
And travel is in here still, and it's increased by 50% in one place and negative 50% in another place. How does that work? It says travel and then travel, student transportation purchased from other sources.
So are you looking at expenditures by account?
Expenditures by account, yeah. Like, is that just a... Yep, expenditures by account, Larry.
Oh, Larry, you're muted.
Yeah, that's an increase of 10,000 to 15,000. So that's an increase of 5,000. And you said there's another line.
There's one that's it's up by 50%, and the other travel one is down by 50%. And it just seemed weird that they matched.
Yeah. So that the travel that's down by 50%, that's going from 3,000 to 1,500. That is all the travel that's reimbursed by
staff,
reimbursed to employees. Yes. So what we do usually and stuff like that is we look at the actuals, and then we had a principal changeover, and as you can see in fiscal year 25, we spent 757 on travel reimbursements. We budgeted 5,000. In trying to be good stewards, we try to find places to cut. We cut it to 3,026, basing on the 25 actuals. We feel that 1,500 is a conservative good amount. So it's a small amount of money, even though it is a 50% decline. And then student transportation, I just saw here. So what happened there is it's a similar thing. We're going off the actuals. So we budgeted 10,000 for this year, but we spent 16,385. Me and Frank meet and we go line by line in the conference room at the SU. And this was one where we decided to make it match the actuals. These would be things like field trips and stuff like that.
Are there any other reductions that we should be aware of that, I mean, not that I'm saying that it's gonna like drastically change programming.
As far as big money reductions, the only thing I think that would move the needle on your budget is already happening, which is due to you having a smaller, what it would be, high school leaving, seniors leaving than incoming eighth graders. Your tuition numbers are down by about $300,000 to $400,000. These are estimates, obviously, with tuition. Kids can change their mind at the last minute.
Heather, you still have a question?
I guess I'm just concerned about this 13.1% increase again. Like, can we go to the public with a 13.1% increase? I feel like I don't know what else to do because again, like the 5.24 is really, that part to me makes perfect sense. What a great increase that we did there. But like, then to explain that the next almost 8% just to, because we're in penalty phase is really hard.
Anything out of that?
Like, there's nothing we can do about it, but like, man, this again, I just keep feeling like it's just a really icky situation. And Larry, do we know if there's any hope for this number this 13.1% to go down in any way?
So let me share my screen and go over the tax rate calculator. So this is a tax rate calculator, and the budget number that's in the budget. Oh, you need a bigger? Yeah, 1 second. Where am I? Okay, let's make it.
Before you get into it, Larry, Heather, don't forget, you have to decide what you're going to do with your fund balance.
Yeah.
Surplus from so if you apply some of that will reduce the tax rate a bit.
And it's pushing it down the line.
Yeah, it's pushing it down the line.
Yeah, so, so this is the latest information from the state. These are estimates. I want to be clear that the 13.1% increase does not include any income sensitivity because there's really no way for me to model that, because that's an individual case by case. I need to know everybody's income and everything. So it doesn't include that. It also doesn't include any of the buy down that the governor has floated, buying down $75 million of the increase. The state average is projected to be 12%, and a $75 million buy down, just to give you an idea, that would decrease the 12% by half. So what that would do for Hartland is it would roughly go from 13 to roughly 7.
Larry, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But isn't this what the governor did last time where he bought it down and then it put us back in, like it just keeps pushing it down, like for next year, the same problem?
Yeah. So until the moment you don't buy down, it's never an issue.
It's never exactly.
So insofar as you keep using Vermont general fund money that is surplus, because Vermont requires a balanced budget, the Vermont Constitution, then it'll never be an issue. But you're exactly right. The second, Heather, that there is not money to buy down in 28 or 29 or 30 or whenever it happens, you will be paying for all those buy downs later on. It's the exact same thing about using your 25 surplus. It's just at much bigger numbers.
So is there $75 million at this moment that the governor can use at his free will that we don't have to pay back at this moment?
Yes, but it's not his free will. It's the legislature in him. But yes, they could decide to use 75 million of the Vermont set aside $75 million of federal money, of money anticipated that they might lose from the federal government that they hadn't lost. So therefore it's there. And that's the money he has said in a press conference he would use. Whether or not that happens, whether it's $120 million buy down or a $0 buy down, I can't estimate for that. So this literally is the worst case scenario. And that includes none of the surplus. As Christine mentioned, at the last board meeting, I was asked to come back with a number for all the windows at Hartland. And then that number would be $120,000. You would set the motion or the warning in such a way to say an amount not to exceed $120,000, because we've had a couple quotes and each of them are under $120,000.
And what do we have in our, was it excess spending?
It's not,
no, capital reserve. What do we currently have in our capital
It was
reserve?
100 and some.
It's 227.
I will tell you in 1 second. I get it every Monday. 1 second. It is, you currently have 358,000.
And what
And a surplus of, you have 358,000 in capital reserve.
Okay.
And you have a surplus of 227,000 in change from FY25. That number is right over here. To give you an idea of what that would look like, if you apply the entire surplus, and this is not my recommendation, but if you apply the entire surplus as a board to the tax rate, it would go down from 13.1 to 9.1.
Okay, but like, do we want to play that game? Like, if the governor's already going to do, or the legislator, whoever's going to make this choice, and it's going to cut that 13 in half, let's say it does, then applying our surplus to any of our budget is not in our favor, but putting it in capital reserve so we can use it for projects that we need to might be a better use of it. Or can you use a surplus as like creating a position for like, you know, I know that next year we might need some teachers, or instead of a half-time math teacher, math interventionist, make it a full-time. Like, does it make sense to, it's a game. right? Like of where to put the money.
You
That
can't take anything out of the general fund unless it's voted on by the town, Heather,
Yeah,
so.
and the capital
Agreed,
reserve
but the surplus, can't we do, like with the surplus, can't we decide whatever we want to do with it?
yes,
Yes, before it goes in there, I think.
tonight you need to decide that, actually.
You need to decide tonight.
So you
You
said there's
basically,
So
you said
can
there
I,
was
sorry, can I ask a
100 and some
question?
there?
Yes, please, Hannah, go.
So in thinking about, nobody likes this 13% increase. We've addressed that it may get cut in half by the governor. We've addressed that we could lower it to 9% by using 100% of our surplus. So leaves to argue that we could lower it by some amount if we use less of it. Another question that I have though, have we looked, I know you guys have looked at the budget line by line. Are there cuts we need to look at? So this is kind of a question to Frank, like, I think it is going to be really challenging to bring a 13% tax increase. And as we've said, all of the other ways we've discussed to bring it down are actually just hurting us later. So are there things we have to look at in the building to cut?
I mean, the first thing you might consider is not hiring a part-time math interventionist.
Mm-hmm.
But
But what
then
we're saying right now is we would do
I
that
too,
in
yeah.
lieu of an SEI, right?
Yeah,
That
you
would
have
be
to
a,
get a vote.
Yeah. And that I think brings you down to 11 point, we looked at it today.
give me 1 second.
11.7. I think it's 11.7.
Yeah. It's 11.7.
so that would be if we cut an SEI and
No,
we
and a math intervention. If you cut the SEI,
and did
and
not
you
hire a
did-
math interventionist.
you got it. You got it. And then if you took that number and added the surplus, you're probably looking at closer to 7% probably. And I could do the math exactly for you. It's important to note also, you with the surplus, you have latitude as a board. You could put 100,000 of it towards the
Mhm,
tax rate
mhm.
and put the remainder towards the capital reserve.
Mhm.
You could do all sorts of stuff. So you pretty much have three options: use some of the surplus towards the tax rate, use none of the surplus towards the tax rate, and that's, well, I guess two options basically. Some or all.
What would it take to get us to 9% if we didn't do the SEI and math interventionist? Like, how much would it leave us in our surplus?
So if you took the amount right here,
I can't
and
see
then-
really, it's really small.
yeah, all right. So if you applied none of the surplus and you didn't hire the math interventionist, taking away the SEI, you would be at 11.7. All right, now give me 1 second. If you took that number and you applied the entire surplus, for giggles, you would be down to 7.7% tax increase.
So if we applied about half of the surplus, we'd get to about 9 and got rid of the SEI and math. About.
Beth,
Yeah,
can I just
so-
ask, are you saying 9, Beth, because you just feel like a single digit tax increase will be more palatable? Is that where you sort of like?
Yeah, totally, yeah, that's all.
Mhm, mhm.
So if you put 100,000 of the surplus towards the tax rate, you're at 10 point even. If you did 150,000, you are at 9.1.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the way it would look is in my tax worksheet, I would put that 150,000 here instead of over here on the side. I would put it over here. And then the remaining 100 and what's that? 100 and some odd thousand, you would go on the ballot as a to the voters to put towards capital reserve.
But then we would need to also, if we wanted to do the windows, we'd have to vote to use it.
Yes, what Hartland is like all the other school districts in the sense that as a board, if Weathersfield or Mount Scottney want to replace the windows, they just take a vote and they take the money from capital reserve. Hartland requires a vote of the town to use the capital reserve. So not only all the towns require a vote to put the money into capital reserve, but Hartland requires a town vote to use it. So
We'd
yes,
be
on the
voting
ballot,
School budget, putting money into the capital reserve and taking money out of the capital reserve. There'd be 3 votes.
you got it.
regarding this.
You got it. Exactly. Or, and I'm not suggesting you do this, or you could do a separate, you could do it in the November meeting, the election or whatever. You could do a separate part of the ballot in November to say, this is how much it's going to cost for the windows. We want to do it then. You're not married to town meeting, but yes,
Okay,
you could
you
do
don't
it.
have to.
Beth.
Got it, yeah.
Exactly. You have to do the budget vote and you have to do the surplus that day. But the using capital reserve, you could have a special meeting about it if you wanted to. But you could do all three.
Frank, can we go back to a little bit of a discussion about the SEI teacher, the SEI interventionist? So you explained to us that they do some direct one-on-one kid check-in availability, and then they're sort of available. So can you just remind us, there are 2 in the building currently?
That is correct. There's 2 in the building. And like I said, they have a caseload, and it could vary just depending on need, on IEP, accommodations, 504, stuff like that, obviously. And then it's a matter of triaging and support for the entire building.
And how much are they doing of classroom socio-emotional learning didactics right now?
Yeah, so a lot of the social emotional learning happening inside classroom and with our counselors. So unless specific to an accommodation on an IEP or 504, I would have to really drill down a little bit more into that. And the reason I say that is the check-ins are part of that, is part of what they are doing, but overall it's all social emotional learning when you're trying to de-escalate and trying to support kiddos. So it's hard to put a specific number on that
because this SEI are separate from the school counselors who are doing, and so so losing an SEI, we still have, in terms of adults in the building to support psychosocial needs of kids, we have administrative staff, we have 2 counselors, we would be left with 1 SEI, and then paraprofessionals there to sort of support, obviously, for kids that need a little extra support as well. Is that a fair summary of that team?
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary of the work that the counselor is doing and the work that the all adults, teachers, paras are doing, administration as well. Yeah.
And then the idea of the 0.5 math interventionist is that we have 2 reading interventionists, and we have seen growth in reading scores at Hartland. We have no math interventionist, and this person would work. I know you mentioned middle school scores, but would the person also support lower elementary math?
Yeah, I mean, the 0.5 only goes so far, right? So what I would do is maybe look to see other availability within the building to see if that could happen at a 4, 5, 6 level, for instance, and then a 0.5 concentrate 7 and 8. So something along those lines, what I'd be looking to do.
And just, I mean, I'll just ask, like we sort of had a discussion about the cost of special education, which I think everyone acknowledges is a large driver of cost in education. How much overlap is there between utilization of special education services and, for example, like the math reading interventionists? Like, how much is that like doubling for, like how much is that sort of a double layer?
Yep.
In your perspective?
So what I would say is we are also down personnel within our building. So a lot is being asked of folks all around. So in other words, we've had to fill in a lot, some blanks, and that is being done by interventionists, that is being done by special educators spreading themselves. So there are a number of layers that we are seeing, and they do all overlap and sort of are symbiotic in their relationship. And I think I understand kind of where your question is. I think it's all tied in, and I think the math interventionists is something that is going to help support some of the other areas and allow other folks to concentrate on what their specialty is, or what their job titles will be, if you will.
Okay. And I know we have some teachers here with us. I don't want to put any of them on the spot, but is this something that we've I presume you've sort of had conversations with teachers about the perception of need in the building, and it seems to you like this trade-off of one SEI negative with one math intervention, half math intervention is positive, is perceived by the teachers to be a beneficial trade?
I don't want to speak for folks in conversations that I've had. They understand where the needs are. And I also don't want to downplay the absolute needs of the social emotional needs of students, right? I don't want to take away from that. I'm trying the best I can to address where I see the needs and the concentration of what we are looking at as a district and right. So that's as I see it. Will it put a strain? Absolutely. There's no doubt. But I also think that, and talking with my administrative team, we are going to need to step up as well in what we are doing, right? As administrators, as support in the building as well. So I think it's going to be sort of, we're going to have to step up our game as well.
Okay, thanks, Frank. I appreciate the answers.
And currently
Yep,
we
no.
have 2 full-time reading interventionists.
2.5.
We have 2.5 reading interventionists here.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Olivia and Jenny.
So, Frank, if you're talking, you're muted.
Jenny, Regan. She's an interventionist for special ed, so it's not locally funded.
I really think we need to consider keeping the math interventionist. Like,
It's also, I hear you, Heather, but I also see if we have 2.5 reading interventionists and we have 0 math interventionists, that seems like no fairsies across the.
Well, I think.
So it's like, where can we have that? Can we have 2 reading interventionists and a half math intervention? Like, what would be the impact of that? I think
some of those interventionists are qualified to do math intervention, and I think they do some math intervention. It's at the
They do. I know one in particular. Math
intervention level. I think the focus is more middle level. So we don't have a middle
Well, I guess
level.
we don't. Do we not have a qualified middle level math interventionist at the moment?
Correct.
Correct.
What does middle school math currently look like? Here. Like am I correct? It's one teacher and
Yes.
they have 2 sections of 6, 2 sections of 7, but then how many 8?
1/8.
So there's
then-
1/8.
And
There's
because some kids are going to Windsor for algebra.
Yep.
Okay. And is that on par for the middle school? They're each teaching like 5 sections of their core.
And the current math teacher with her other section of not covering an 8th grade section would not be doing intervention. I mean, I know this is probably like making every teacher out there cringe because it's making me cringe saying it a little.
She does have 5 sections.
But does everybody else have 5 sections?
So her class,
Okay,
her
'cause
math
we have other
class
classes.
is about half the class, or several of the class is at Windsor. That class is having 8th grade math first period while the other students are at Windsor. Then they come back.
And then
So they're in the part of the same 8th grade class. So she has the same number of preps
As
and
everyone else.
classes.
Okay, okay.
She just has 5 fewer kids in that first class.
Okay, got it. So I'm like, I know Miss Glenn knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a strong math teacher.
Yes, very.
Just to reiterate, if we went down an SEI, added a 0.5 math interventionist, and applied 50% of our surplus to the budget, we would be at a
Yeah.
9% increase.
Yeah. I'm opening the floor to a question from the public.
It would be more than half.
Go for it, Larry. Go
John Tanzi, I'm here visiting. I have a technical question. Is there any change in the common level of appraisal this year as opposed to last year? And if so, what impact does that have on the tax rate?
Yeah, so Hartland's CLA, which is 2.5%, They changed it 2 years ago. So now it takes the state CLA and then you divide that by your local CLA to give you a new CLA. And I can tell you what last year's CLA was. Give me 1 second for Hartland.
We don't
It
usually
did go-
know the CLA till after.
Yeah. They
budgets.
give out an estimate. And last year, give me 1 second. Last year's CLA for Hartland was 89.04, and this year it's 81. So, for example, what would that do to the tax rate? Just for giggles, if I made the tax rate, the CLA 89%, your taxes would be flat. By removing the math interventions and applying $150,000 as a surplus. If the surplus was gone and you applied none of it, you'd be at 1% tax increase.
I mean, it's like really painful to again recognize, like we've identified these tax increase. It's the excess spending and it's our CLA. Right. I mean, you just went from 81 to 89 and the rate changed 8%.
Yeah, it's so that towns don't go, and I'm not accusing any town, don't go 20 years without doing an appraisal of 30 years and and that way they would never be paying into the ed fund. So
right, but it's just unfortunately
yeah.
for people who bought their house at a certain price point that they could afford, it now just it exposes them to liability of property taxes that are oftentimes beyond what they can afford.
I agree.
So it doesn't really allow for people to stay in homes, which is a real problem, and it really cultivates the appearance that the issue is what's happening in the elementary school when it's really not about what's happening in the elementary school.
So Larry, what's the overall, like, why wouldn't we want to use the surplus other than kicking the can down the road? But like, we don't know. I mean, we're speaking of hypotheticals. I mean, we could, given the budget we put forth this year, it's only a 5.4% increase, and then we're getting penalized the other 8%. If they remove that in the legislature this year, then like we're at 5.4%. So who cares if we use the surplus then? We're not really kicking the can down the road then. Am I correct? I don't think we should not use. I mean, even 9% is like, I mean, how much more can we squeeze out of the residents that have already been asked to pay 30% over the last 2-3 years?
Yeah.
If you remove the math interventionist addition and you remove the SEI, then you're and you applied the entire surplus with everything we know today, taxes would go up in Hartland as estimated 7.7% for homestead. Now the question is, should you do that? What I'm saying, Ryan, is let's assume you did that. The budget number is still the budget number. If you do not have a surplus in 26 equal to 227, then you are now, you can't use that money next year to lower the tax rate. So all you're doing is taking that difference between 7.7 and 13 and you're putting it towards next year. Now, if you have $227,000 surpluses as far as the eye can see, then there would be no, I would probably be fine with that. But from my standpoint, and I know I'm not a political elected official, from where I sit, I would rather either put it into capital reserve or cut the budget by $227,000 and then apply it. Right, and then it's the same thing, and because then you would cut the budget next year by $227,000 to make up for that money that you do no longer have if you didn't have a surplus this year.
I think the point though that Ryan's making, which like I really, it's a unique moment because so many things that were impacted by at the state level are allegedly going to change soon. And so it's tricky because it feels like all of this stuff could be different. Like the excess spending limits could be different. The CLA calculations could be different. And so it's hard to not use it when there's so many things at the state level that might change in the next couple of years.
I totally get what you're saying. And I think that would be a fine decision to do. This is my opinion. So, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer. I'm saying I say this to every school district with a surplus.
Every CFO says this. So
You're just doing your job, Larry, we know. And we're glad you do.
Larry, can you show us, I know, I'm sorry, we've asked you to do a lot of iterations of this. Can you show us minus SEI plus math interventionist with 50% of the surplus applied to the budget?
So if I took the budget book number and I applied 50% of the surplus, so let's do that. Hold on one second.
Like 110.
So if you took what's in the budget book now, which is a 0.5 math interventions addition, removing the SEI, and you applied half of the surplus, the tax rate would be 11.1%.
Boo.
Does Frank,
Totally.
can Frank get us the numbers from the testing that he showed us back in like November? Like how bad, can you remind us how bad the 8th or the middle school math scores?
But I also feel like if we're investing this much in reading, I mean, is there a way to pull? I mean, it just seems. I don't want to say it seems excessive at 2.5 interventionists because I'm in a school. I know like as many interventionists as possible are needed. So it's that whole thing of like there's 2.5 reading interventionists in the school happening right now, and so it's like, can we somehow take some of that and move it into a math intervention position?
They're already
at the middle school level because that's where the need seems to be.
They're not certified through middle school.
Can they be? What do
Can
they
they
do?
be?
Like,
Who wants to sign up?
can we support them and get it?
Yeah, can we support them in that? Because it also just doesn't seem equitable in the sense of like,
Which is why Jenny
we're not supporting math.
It's so painful though, right, Beth? Because it's like the reason reading is doing well is because of the intervention, right? Like because, and so it sort of is like when I have patients that say like, oh, I don't have high blood pressure. And I'm like, well, you don't have high blood pressure because you're on 3 medications. And if we stop those, you will have high blood pressure again.
I hear it, yeah.
It's
I
also,
totally get it.
you know, we put our
And also, I mean, it's
resources
horrible.
at the foundational level so that you need less when kids get older.
Yes.
So, but certainly it
I
can
guess
be looked at.
But then can we double down on math intervention in the lower grades then? Like what does that look like? I think there
But I
seems
want
to
to
be
hear what Frank said. I want us to hear what we've heard Frank say earlier, which was that teachers are already stretched thin. And so like are the interventionists, everyone in that building, there is,
but
not
they're
enough
stretched
adults.
thin, Heather, because there's vacancies. So if every position is filled, no one's on a maternity or paternity leave, and everyone, then it wouldn't be the case. They wouldn't be as stretched then.
Wouldn't be as stretched then.
Right, but yes, I think in a sense, but I historically, if you guys will remind me, I think last year there was some cuts to teachers, so I think there's a little strain on the 4-5. We are down within the special ed world, hopefully temporarily, but that is spreading people thin. So yeah, if we're at full capacity, we're still stretched thin, but I do think a math person does help support the need for the students and the teachers. And I think a realignment of taking a look at what we have currently, which is the question you're asking, like, can we switch or can we have other folks? I think taking a look at that and seeing, can we have someone do 4, 5, 6 and this 0.5 work 7, 8. So now you're covering a bit more and you're giving some free time up to folks. So, that's overall as I'm looking at it, if that makes sense.
I have the report. Who wants the math data?
I would like to.
Okay.
But my problem is what happens if the governor comes back and is like, okay, here comes the $75 million. And like, we didn't hire a math interventionist. And like the tax rate's now at, half of what 13 is. Like, I don't know. I don't know if are we willing to gamble, I guess?
I'm at the point, we hired Frank, we put all of our faith in Frank, we gave him an entire month to talk to teachers. I mean, because it was discussed at the last meeting that he put together what he thought was the best plan to put forward, and this is what he came up with. I don't think that we shouldn't put forth the half of an interventionist and consider maybe the SEI. And I mean, I know it's unfavorable by Larry, but I don't see why we couldn't put the entire amount towards, we already have 350,000 in a capital reserve, which we can't touch anyway unless the town votes on it, and then see what happens next year. If we have to then talk about cutting positions and reassessing, we can then go back to Frank and see where he's at. I know it's a lot all in one, but
I'm kind of with you, Ryan.
I mean, if the governor comes and cuts things in half, it makes it look even better
And then
next
hopefully
year.
we'll have a surplus.
Yeah.
Well, just briefly, there's your 1-2 math. So there's definitely a need for intervention at the early
Lower levels, yeah.
There's your 3-5, improves a little bit. And in 6-8,
And in the long run too, I guess this is just a general statement, not necessarily for the people in the room, but like the idea of intervention and MTSS system is that you are intervening before students need to be referred to special education,
Right.
which then tends to be a much more costly endeavor. And that also means students are already that farther behind. So if you're investing in students earlier when they're not as far behind, and then that catch-up window is usually significantly less. And you have to remember students that are now in the system getting intervention, going through those layers of support, they are they're being monitored all along. So if they're not making the progress they need to make, then they are referred to the special ed system. And so, and if they're making that great progress in that grade level, then they don't need that intervention anymore. So I'm just kind of a statement of how an intervention works and why we say they're so important is because they are that intermediary kids that are maybe don't qualify for special ed, but are crucial in that support.
Wait for it to do this. It does do it.
And realize too, there could be a student that is in the special ed system that maybe is getting some intervention because maybe they're getting special ed for services for reading, but maybe they need math intervention and they're not that at level. So it's kind of everywhere, but just realizing.
Their IEP may state that the services can be provided by an interventionist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So just the crucial role that all these interventionists play is not just it's.
Yeah, I think we obviously, I think it's fair to say that all of us on the school board sort of hold at the center of our decision making the sort of what's best for the kids in the building. I think we all have huge respect and value for the educators and want to think about how this is going to work for them. But we also really feel a responsibility to make decisions that honor what we've heard from the people paying the tax bills. And I think, pretty consistently over the last several years, one of the things that people have said is sort of a discomfort with the scores for whatever that means about children's educational outcomes. And, we could debate that ad nauseum, but whatever that means, that there is clearly this interest in seeing sort of educational outcomes in Vermont improve. And it does seem like this is a really valuable way to do that. And again, I think trying to keep the tax increase as low as possible. And if that means using this year's surplus to do it and acknowledging to taxpayers that we may have to apologize for that next year when we're facing it, but I would be in favor of doing that as well, of using our surplus towards the budget.
The entire surplus or the?
Because it looks like if we do half, we're getting to 11%, whereas if we use all of it, we get to 9%. And I think, Beth, you're the one that said it, right? That keeping it a single digit tax increase.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Could we, instead of 9.1, could we put something in surplus just to keep that idea that we when we have surplus, we do put some in capital gains. So put 10,000 or whatever we think the windows might cost. I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Those
put
are
that in.
120,000, so that's.
Yeah, so that's too much.
Okay, but
Maybe
maybe
put 200 or 200,000, just for a nice round number, we use 200,000 of the surplus, because that would probably be enough to take it down below 10.
Okay.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
just as a number. that's
For the
swallowable.
27th.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then it's
9.6%.
yeah.
Hopefully nobody knows how to round. Sorry, that was a math intervention joke, Larry.
Yeah. I got it. And we do. I mean, we need to remember we have 358 in there currently in our general fund. So, I mean, we can still move ahead with the window repairs without adding a penny to this, and that's okay. So I don't. I mean, and it seems like when we're talking about it's almost like a separate note, but like the window, like, is this something we need to do like tomorrow? Window repairs. I'm assuming we should be.
Yeah, so I would like, if the idea is that none of the surplus is going to be, or a very small amount, 27,493, would be put into the capital reserve. You do need windows at Hartland. If there was no additional money, significant money being added to the 385,000, I would like to go back to Jim and just verify that would be his highest priority, because if the windows are 120,000, I'm just picking round numbers, that would bring your capital reserve down to a fair amount less money. That's a third of your capital reserve, to put it that way. So I would rather make sure that is Jim's highest priority for the building, as far as structural repairs, before we do that. But I'm fine with that either way. Like I said,
But I mean, like you said, Larry, too, we can let this whole school budget thing shake out a little and say, oh, November, let's do the capital reserve thing and get the.
Yeah, I said November because I've seen school districts in the past do ballot items during a presidential or whatever, an off-year election, was 2026. So it's a midterm. So in November would be an opportunity for a little bit of money to have a one-question ballot for the Hartland School District that says, do you approve spending an amount not to exceed $120,000 for window repair, blah, 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 for the Hartland Elementary School? And if it's voted up, then you just take it out of the capital reserve and do it. So I think that's fine too. I just brought that up because I happen to know the 2026, they're already doing elections. So that would be another option. And you would know, and you're right, Beth, you would know by then, you will know the outcome of whatever heck happens with Act 73 in the legislature. Hopefully you would know about the buy down. You would know about the yield and the excess spending threshold. All that would be done in July.
Larry, what is some of the other school districts have in capital reserve, like ballpark numbers?
Good question. So give me 1 second.
Weathersfield's similar.
Weathersfield is a little, so 295 for Weathersfield, which is a similar school that's, a K-8 building, but a newer building, so less repairs needed. And then Mount Scottney, which is a much bigger building in 2 buildings, their capital reserve fund is 753,000.
So we're sort of in the similar range.
Yes, you are healthier than Weathersfield, but you need more repairs, I'm sure, than Weathersfield. For example, Weathersfield doesn't need all the windows; they have a newer building.
All right. So, I see on the budget, I'm looking at the agenda, it says excess spending threshold. We don't need to discuss that any further,
No,
other than it's miserable.
no, I think you already distributed.
You're over the threshold.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
okay.
And you're over threshold, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Discuss.
Discuss. Over the threshold. Nothing to do about it. Great. So then I think the idea is what I'm hearing is that we keep the math interventionist, take away the social emotional interventionist, and use all of the surplus, and that would take us to.
Or we said 200 of the surplus.
Yeah, I thought I heard 200. Okay, 200 in surplus, which would take us to 9.6.
That's correct.
27K into
Yeah, so I think the way you would, if this is the route the board would want to go, I think you would take one motion to approve the 11.8 number, and then you would say offsetting with revenues of $200,000 from the fiscal year 25 surplus, then there would be a separate motion to ask the voters to put $27,493 into capital reserve as a separate warrant item.
So I will make a motion for a budget of 11.8.
You gotta say the exact number, Hannah.
Okay, $11,814,613.
I will second that.
Do we need to individually vote, don't we?
Well, you have to have discussion now. We already have,
Discuss.
but
I
any
feel
other-
like
any
we've
other
done that a
discussion?
lot. Is there anything more to discuss around that?
I think it would be helpful to add to the motion, modify the motion to say in it and put $200,000 as offsetting revenue of the fiscal year
Okay, sorry,
25
that's not a
surplus.
separate
Okay.
thing. So the 200, so.
Got it.
Sorry, Hannah,
So
go
I'll make a
ahead.
motion to propose a budget to the town of $11,814,613, offset by $200,000 of revenue to be taken from the fiscal year 25 surplus account.
And I second that.
Again, okay, all right. Discussion. I feel like that's all we just did. All
Mhm.
right. So I will go around. Heather, so what you say?
Aye.
Hannah,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Beth Ann,
Aye.
I am an aye. Great. So moved. So then I will move that we take the 27, what was it?
27,493.
Let Hannah do it. Moved, put into our capital reserve fund.
Can you second on that?
I think so.
I will second that.
All right, more discussion around that? No. All right, Heather,
Aye.
Hannah,
Is that me? Aye.
sorry, yes, Beth Ann,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
and I am an aye. All right.
Great job.
Can we have a moment where we like hope and pray that the governor says what he's going to do about the 25 million, maybe?
Well, can we just have a moment where we hope and pray that like the excess spending limits can go away for tuition paying towns and that the CLA doesn't keep dropping and dropping and dropping?
Yes.
Even
Let's hope
more
and pray
so
for
than
that
paying
too.
down. I hope those two things change.
Really
Yes,
just
I
today with those coffee talks and everything, like, there's literally nothing else we could
Yeah.
be cutting here.
Yeah. And, you know, something that I think would be interesting when we do present this, like, I know we have like we've had a lot of messaging discussions and a lot of things we've done, but, you know, another thing that I think has come up is just like the discussion around how much of the sort of non-educational services in Vermont get included. And it would be interesting maybe if we could look at the Hartland budget and just like sort of demonstrate that to voters that like that the school system is taking on a huge amount of social services, which, you know, whether or not you think that should happen, like it's just that the sort of that's not an easy thing those are hard things to cut.
All right, so the next thing on the agenda here is the town treasurer increase.
Yes, so, you have a town treasurer, and your local budget, you pay part of salary. And I think, that person is requesting an increase, and I don't think that person has had an increase in 2 years, Larry, is that correct? But gets an increase on the town side annually, so is looking to have the school kind of match that.
Match what the town is doing. Discussion around it, like what are we talking here?
Talked about it last time, didn't we?
We talked about it, but we didn't vote on it, I don't
okay.
think.
Okay.
So, Larry, you've been in touch with the town manager about this, correct? Did he leave us?
No, he's there. He's muted.
You're muted, Larry.
Yes, so, she formally requested, treasurer pay increase to be added to the 2026 budget process, please, and I know it's semantics, and I said, we're working on the 27 budget, I assume that's what she meant. So, we brought it to you, if you would like, to match the town yearly pay increases, I can find that out. It should be public record. I can get that from the town manager. It'd be as simple as a vote, because she's an employee of the district. It probably should come from the board to authorize me to negotiate her pay increase. We've done this before in different districts.
Our board, right, not the SU board.
Yeah.
No, not the SU board, not the SU board.
She's a Hartland.
So we would make a motion to basically empower you to negotiate with the town treasurer a pay increase.
Yeah, a pay increase, and you could word the motion in such a way for fiscal responsibility, say not for percentage amounts not to go past what the town has provided in her.
Okay.
In pay increases for her.
Okay. So I will make that motion to the board will empower the CFO to negotiate with the town treasurer a pay increase not to exceed a percentage already designated by the town.
I can second that. And we need to vote again. Heather,
Aye.
Hannah,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Bethan. Aye. And aye. Informational meeting dates.
Traditionally, you have your meeting the week prior, but this week it is a school vacation week. So we are proposing it be the week before the vacation week, assuming a lot of people may be away during the week of the 23rd. So the proposed date is February 17th. At Damon Hall. I think it's always at 7 p.m. I don't know why it's so late, but
I don't know why either.
I don't think we can change it because of things designated
I
in
think it's
some.
okay because honestly that makes it so like families can actually
Yeah.
go home and we do, I think we've been pretty good with the virtual
We've been good,
situation.
great, yep. So if that works
No one's heading to Bermuda at that time.
for everyone, February 17th.
That sounds great.
I will have Lori set it in your calendars and we will get the warning done.
All right. Wow, that seems big.
Yeah.
One question, we still have our regular board meeting on February 3rd? We're just adding in this as our, this doesn't replace our board meeting, right?
Yeah, it's the informational meeting.
Yeah, usually on the 4th, we'll do a run through of the presentation at that meeting, so you can offer suggestions and edits or whatnot to that presentation.
Yeah, and I'll be pulling together the letter that goes in the town report and stuff in the next week. So if anyone would like to edit or have words you would like added to it, just send them my way.
She's really excited to write that.
So excited to write that. It'll be one of my final acts. Oh, good. Great. Setting next agenda.
Yeah, I think budget informational session run throughs.
Is there sabbatical or something we need to discuss?
Yes, and then there's a sabbatical.
Sabbatical thing.
And we have a sabbatical, yes.
Is it possible to see what previous sabbatical requests have looked like, or previous sabbaticals that have been granted, like as the new person here, just so I know?
I don't think
never-
we've had one.
When I was here for many years as principal,
Yeah.
I don't remember having one.
I've been here for 8 years.
Yeah. So.
I guess I would love the background of just like what's the personnel policy around it. I just don't even know. Like, is that like what's the handbook? Like what's before? I don't need it right now. I'm just saying like
in the contract. I'll
Yeah.
send you the contract language so you can see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Christine, I think in your email you did send us the contract
Okay.
language.
Well, I can send. There's probably more. I probably snipped it out. I'll send you all of it. It is. Well, we can talk about it next month.
Yep.
Okay. Good remembering, Ryan. I didn't have that written down.
That's for next, right?
Yes,
Next,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for February. Yeah. And anything else that comes up, we can just add in the interim.
all right. Anything else?
Beth, just a question. So does Beth Ann, like, I'm just asking for March, does Beth Ann have to run for her seat?
Mine is until 2027.
Oh, okay. You don't have to, I thought because we interimed you, I didn't remember what the policy was for that.
No, I checked when I signed the papers. We checked in about it, and I'm finishing off the previous.
Oh, okay, cool. Super cool. And Beth, you've already said that you're not running again and
I am.
you're up.
Yes.
Okay. So
I think,
as-
Hannah, are you up?
no, Hannah and I were last year.
Yeah, I think I just did it.
Yep. Hannah and I did last year. So
Maybe I was on
I'm-
the 2-year one or 3-year one, and then like, because I think it was Nikki and I running around the same time.
I think I'm next year too, I think.
Okay.
So you're up.
yeah, I'm gonna be next year too because I took the 2-year and gave Hannah the 3-year. So she wouldn't have to fill out the paperwork again.
Heather was just worried my husband was like truly gonna burn the petition the next time I had to get
He
it.
was. So I was like, here, you take the 3-year. But so that means that we are actively looking for another board member. Okay. So as a board, that might be something we might want to start like
Outreach.
getting people interested in, because they have to fill out all the forms and do like get signatures by what date?
26th.
And I think it's January 26th.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Is that-
okay. So
Gosh, I thought it was February.
No, I think it's,
okay.
I think it's January.
I think it's like 6 weeks before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
it's-
happens if no one, like, just out of curiosity, what happens if no one runs? Do we just act as a board of 4?
You
I think you
can
can,
appoint someone.
somebody, yeah.
I think, yeah, I'll look into that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you're supposed to like snap your fingers.
Me? You're on the board. You're on the board.
John, you wanna move to?
Yeah, one move to Hartland.
You can get somebody just writing. I mean,
You
Yeah,
could do
yeah,
writing,
that's how
yeah.
we,
yeah.
that's how we manifested Ryan.
Yep.
And you know, if they can write Kazanowski, they can pretty much write anything in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Larry, thank you so much. I know this is a lot of work and I'm really grateful for your expertise and advice. And I'm sorry if we disappointed you.
Thank you.
Over and over and over again. Yes, and thank you all for the board too. That's a lot of, I know that weighs heavy on me as well.
All right.
I would love to call this meeting to adjourn at 7:35.
Great. I'll make a motion or yeah, there's that motion. Okay. Second.
We have to.
Aye.
All right, Heather. Hannah,
Aye.
Hannah, say
Aye.
Okay. Ryan.
Aye.
Beth Ann. Me. Aye.